Welcome to the filling station. It's a new day, another opportunity to either make money in this market or to just learn from the market. But first, y'all, let me give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. But if you could please like, share, and subscribe, y'all. I say it so often. We learn and we grow together. With that being said, let's get started. So we are looking at AMD and we closed at 203.08. So I always say, where are the trouble places, right? So immediately my eye goes to this area here. Why? Because price was gathering here. We've been touching here, here, and somewhere in this area here. So I'm going to watch that 199.07. That's a gathering spot, as I like to say, or a consolidation area, right? So trouble places for AMD back to the upside. $200.48 is the level that I have right at that 200 or the 50. Let me rephrase that. The 50 EMA could be a trouble place for us. Again, breaking that, we could possibly have trouble 201.54. Again, here at 202.03, and breaking that level brings us back to 202.90, which is where our ATR trailing stop is and a level that I have marked. I love to see that, right? So should we break that for AMD today, we could possibly have trouble again around 203.79, breaking that 203.79. We could have trouble 204.88, and y'all see that 200 EMA is right there at 205.52. So that could be a resistance area as of now, and breaking that 206.36. Those are possible areas of resistance or rejection to the upside for AMD or the trouble places, right? So should we break that, back to the downside, let's say if we break under this 199.07, we could very well come back to around 197.53, and should we break that 196.94, and y'all see we were here on yesterday, or right, pre-market or after hours on yesterday, let's say that, right? So that could be a support area, 196.64, and should we break that, I'm going to say something held us up or stopped us right there, 195.67. Should we break the 195.67, we could very well come back to 193.82, and breaking that 193.68 for AMD today, we can come back to 191.50. So those are possible trouble places for AMD. Again, support and resistance, right? And y'all, I'm going to say it again. I look at support and resistance on a smaller scale. Why? Because when I'm in the trade, I kind of want to know where my possible trouble places are, right? So we are now looking at Amazon. Immediately, I'm going to go and mark that. Something stopped us in that area, and it kind of feels a place from here to here. So yeah, that kind of just like charting 101, right? So where are the trouble places for Amazon? Again, we closed at 201.15. Seems like we've been having trouble at that 204.90 area right about there, right? So to the upside, we will need to break that. Again, we could possibly have trouble 205.55. Again, here at 206.41. Should we break that 206.41 for Amazon? Y'all, we could keep climbing. I'm going to say 206.64. We could possibly have trouble in that area. Now, let's look to the downside, right? So breaking that level, 203.30 for Amazon, we can come back to, I'm going to say that's 200 EMA, because there's a lot of support in this area down to, let's see, that 202.55 area. Breaking that, we can come back to 201.94, and should we break that 201.22, breaking that level brings us back to $200.44, and y'all see that was a gathering spot for us here. So that $200.44. Now, breaking that for Amazon, 199.40 could be a support area, and breaking that 198.73. Should we break that 198.73, y'all see the gathering spot that it created here, we could very well come back to the 197.73. So if you are trading Amazon today, I say it so often, y'all, mark your levels once it goes against your why or your reason for getting in the trade, get out, right? So we are looking at NVIDIA. We closed at 184.97, and yes, it's a little bit congested, y'all. I said often this works for me, and there's ways to fix it, right? So let's see, where are the trouble places for NVIDIA today? Again, we closed 184.97. Looks like we're having trouble at a place I kind of knew we could possibly have trouble. 189.31, right? Should we break that? 189.60. Again, 190.06. Breaking that level, 190.44. 190.73. 191.04. 191.30. Those are possible areas of resistance for NVIDIA. Again, y'all, I need to say it, not financial advice. However, breaking this 191.30, y'all, the next level, 192.20, we could very well get stopped out in this area. I need to say that again. In this market, anything is possible, right? So let's look back to the downside for NVIDIA. Should we break under this level, 188.13, we could very well come back to 187.48. Again, 186.85, breaking that 186.23. Should we break that 185.87, 185.60, and breaking that level 185.16. Now, should we break that 185.16, 184.67, y'all see that is where price was here. Yes, I love to see that, right? So marking our support and our resistance are under 185. Let's say we break under the 185 for NVIDIA today, 184.67, and breaking that 184.48, not very far away. Again, I look at it on a smaller scale because that kind of helps me out for when I'm in the trade, right? So breaking, let's say, the 184.26 area for NVIDIA, we could come back to 183.99 and again 184.74. So if NVIDIA is something that you trade, I say often trade carefully. Why? Because in this market, anything is possible. Again, we've been making a move to the upside, right? Trending to the upside. We see that now. But again, on this 30-minute chart, it wouldn't surprise me to see us back in this area here, which is around the 181 area for NVIDIA. I'm going to say it again, not financial advice, right? So let's go to the SPY just to see where we are today. We closed at 682.85. Yes, 682.85. We've made a pre-market high thus far at 686.92. Interesting, right? Considering we were down at the 675, and y'all see we bounced off a few levels of support that we have marked here. I'd say it again. I just love to see that. So where are the trouble places for the SPY today? Let's see if we can make that a little bit. There we are. Back to the upside again. We will need to get back above, let's say, the 685.58. But keep in mind, there's a few layers of resistance up to the 686.08. Should we break that 686.08, we have 686.51. And should we break that level, 686.93, 687.23, 687.57, and again, 688.15. Now, breaking that 688.15, there, the next level is around the 688.91. Keep in mind, we could very well get stopped out anywhere in this area for the SPY, breaking this level of 688.91. The next level is around the 689.45, and again here at 689.90. 689.83. So breaking that 689.83 for the SPY today, possibly 690.89. Yes, 690.89. Keep in mind, we could very well get stopped out anywhere in this area here. I said so often, y'all, in this market, anything is possible. So let's look at the SPY to the downside. Again, there's a few layers of support here, one being the 50, the 20 EMA, the 200 EMA, and this level that I have marked 684.47, 684.27. So there's a few layers of support for the SPY in this area now. So should we break this 684.27, we could very well come back to the 683.75, and y'all see price gathered in this area right here, right? So should we break that, you see the ATR trailing stop, the 50 EMA, and a level around the 683.23. We could possibly use this area as a strong area of support for the SPY. Again, not financial advice. Breaking this, however, brings us back to, let's say we break under the 682.96 or the 682.73. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of support for the SPY here, right? So under 682.73, we've broken through a few layers of support, and we could very well come back down to the next level around 682.12, which brings us back to this area, right? So breaking the 682.12, again, there's a few layers down here to the 681.35. So down at the 681.35, if we should break that for the SPY today, 680.37, and again 679.95. Again, we could very well get stopped out from this level to this level. I say it often, y'all, in this market, anything is possible, right? So now breaking the, the 670 679.95. Yeah, that's a tongue twister, right? 679.95. The next level I have is around 679.23, which is kind of like a strong area. This right here kept us for a while. So I need to watch this level for the SPY. 679.23 down to the 679.16. There's a few layers of support. This could be a strong area of support for the SPY. Again, not financial advice. I need to say that, right? So if you're trading the SPY today, those are possible areas of support and resistance. Again, y'all, I say mark your levels. Once it goes against your why or your reason for getting in the trade, right? Get out. So we are looking at Tesla, and y'all know I say it so often. Tesla just does what Tesla does, right? We closed at 410.63. Yeah, we made a high on yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yes, 418.48, only to come down to this $400.51, right? Yes, and it seems like we're trying to bounce just a little bit. We got rejected right here at that 419.99. Y'all see that is what I have marked. I love to see this, right? Support and resistance. Now, where are the trouble places? It seems like now we're finding support at the time of this recording. It is pre-market at that 412 area, but I knew that 412 could be a strong area of support. We were here, right here, and it had an ATR trail and stop. So yeah, that 412 area is interesting to watch for me for Tesla today. Should we break that back to the upside, we will need to get back above 413.75, 414.99, which is here, right? And the 200 EMA 415.45, breaking that for Tesla 416.56. And y'all see there's a few layers here. 417.54. Should we break that 418.62 and breaking that 419.71? Now, if we break that 419.71 area for Tesla, there's a few layers here at 420.43. So that 420.95 area could be a strong area of resistance. Now, breaking that, it seems like the next level is that 422.22. I remember that one, like the 428.60 and the 440.41. So that 422.22 is a strong area of resistance, in my opinion. Keep in mind, it's really close to a level of 423.01 up to the 423, let's see, 423.57. So if we break that 422.22 for Tesla, keep in mind, it's still a lot of resistance in that area up to the 424.29. So if you're trading Tesla today, I say those are possible areas of support and resistance, or support, resistance, let me get it right. Those are possible areas of resistance. Let's look to the downside now. Breaking under this 412 area, and y'all see how price came down, touched this area, but the body of the candle is still kind of at that 412 area. That's really important to make sure you pay very close attention to, just learning the charting, right? So if the wick comes down to this area, the body of the candle is still in the area that we kind of marked as a support area. That's important, right? So as of now, again, breaking under this 412 area, we could very well come back to 411.43. I'll see we did that, right? Bounce from there only to come back. So under the 411.43 for Tesla, we could very well come back to, let's say, around the 410.58, breaking that 410.58. We have that ATR trail and stop right at that 410.05 area that I have marked. I have 410.01. ATR is at 410.05, very close, right? Breaking that for Tesla, we could very well come back to this level around 409.03. And I marked that area because price gathered in this area for a reason. 409.03, breaking that for Tesla today. 407.89. Should we break that 406.57 and breaking that 404.80? In my opinion, that is another area of remembrance for me. 404.80, breaking that, we could come back to around 403.68. And should we break that 402.54, breaking that 402.54 for Tesla, there's kind of a few areas of support there. 402.01. However, breaking that 402, what was 402.11, correction, 402.11. So let's say 402.54 down to the 402.11 could be a strong area of support. Y'all see we were here right here. So that's something that we could definitely watch if you're trading Tesla today. What I do need to mark is this area here. Something held us here, right? So that 401.32, breaking the 401.32, $400.56. Y'all see, I had the 456. We came down to 451. Very, very close. That's why it's so important that we mark those areas of support and resistance, right? So under the $400.56 or the $400.51, we could possibly come back to 398.09 and breaking the 398.09, 397.15. So those are possible areas of support and resistance for Tesla today. I say it so often, y'all, in this market, anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed. Let's go look at Palantir today, and we are going to mark some levels with Palantir. It seems like for some reason price has been gathering here at that 137.27. We closed at 133.02. So it looks like we're going to gap up, which creates a gap to the downside. So again, I'm going to mark this level here. Price gathered in this area here for a reason, right? So we need to definitely, if you're trading Palantir, watch that area of consolidation. Let's say here down to about right here. Price gathered in this area here. So coming back to the downside, we could very well find support in these areas here. Let's say under this 137.42, if we're getting rejected here, we can come back to 136.13. And again, the ATR trail and stopped in 20 EMA is around the 134.97. However, breaking that, let's see, we're just marking it up right now. 134.35 could be a support area for us, and breaking that, y'all see the 200 EMA, 50 EMA, and a level we just marked at that 133.35 for a Palantir. So breaking that, we could very well come back to the 132.51. Breaking the 132.51 for Palantir, I'm going to mark this level here of around 131.69. We could very well come back to that if we should break that level. 131.69, we can come back to 130.99, and breaking the 130.99, we could very well come back to around the 129.91. And I'm just marking levels where price gathered, right? So if we break the 129.91, we could very well come back to around this level here of 128.65. So if you're trading Palantir today, those are possible areas of support back to the downside. I said so often, again, y'all, not financial advice. Now back to the upside, breaking above the 137.27, the next level 139.48 could be a rejection area, and the 141.43 could be a resistance area. Again, not financial advice. I said so often, if Palantir is something that you trade, mark your levels. Once it goes against your why or your reason for getting in the trade, get out, right? So again, y'all, this is what I see when I look at the market. I say it so often, there's so many different ways to trade the market, and what's challenging is trying to figure out the strategy that works best for you and making sure you have a plan before going into the trade, right? So I hope that everyone have an amazing day today, as always, right? As always. So if you could please, again, like, share, and subscribe. I say it so often, y'all, we learn and we grow together. So until next time, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.